Good evening. We're officially in the final stages in one of the Bay Area's highest profile trials. And today, prosecutors delivered their closing arguments in the murder trial of Nima Momeni. He's the tech consultant charged in the stabbing death of Cash App founder Bob Lee. We are still waiting for the defense's closing arguments, and that comes tomorrow. But today, the jury also got their first set of instructions on how they're supposed to weigh Momeni's fate. Lauren Toms has been in the courtroom every single day of this trial. She joins us live now with how the prosecutors want jurors to see this case. Lauren.
Yeah, Juliet, well, after 6 weeks of testimony, prosecutors today with their closing arguments that Momeni intentionally and with premeditation stabbed Bob Lee. Not only that, but they say that the defense's case that Momeni acted in self-defense is improbable because of Lee's good nature. Two key points that prosecutors must prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt.
I don't want to see Bob's kids ever have to watch the man who killed them back on the street.
Family and friends of Bob Lee's poured into the courtroom Monday to hear the closing arguments in the trial of his alleged murderer, Nima Momeni.
You know, because this is emotionally taxing and very rough. I think I've aged 5 years in the last 6 weeks.
Never before seen video played by prosecutor Dane Reinstedt revealed that it's unlikely that Bob Lee had a knife in his front right jacket pocket, as suggested by the defendant Nima Momeni. The video shows Lee and Momeni walking out of the lobby of the Millennium Tower apartments about 30 minutes before the stabbing, as a gust of wind causes Lee's jacket to flap, a trait prosecutors say shows Lee never had a knife with him in the first place, as they make their bid to jurors that Lee couldn't have attacked Momeni, forcing Momeni to act in self-defense, a quality they must prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
It was corroboration that Bob Lee not only wasn't the type of person to carry a knife, but he appeared to, in fact, not be carrying a knife. And that was, I think, extremely helpful for the prosecution.
Attorney Shannon Dugan has witnessed the trial. She says the DNA pulled from the murder weapon, a nearly 8-inch Joseph paring knife, is one of the prosecution's strongest pieces of evidence. In their closing argument, the prosecution highlighted that on the blade of the knife, 98% of DNA found belonged to Bob Lee, while the handle of the knife is where 99% of DNA collected belonged to Nima Momeni. Numbers, Dugan says, may be enough to convince the jury that Lee never held the knife or pulled it from the apartment where the men were hanging out in the hour before the stabbing.
What the DA also said is if Bob Lee had had this, what he called a death grip on the knife, then Bob Lee's DNA would have been on that knife handle. Very important fact, and they reinforced it with the jury.
Final piece of the puzzle, prosecutors say, shows Lee couldn't have grabbed a knife, let alone pull it in an attack on another person. It's testimony from close friends of Lee's about his character, a teddy bear, lovable, a hugger, words friends used to describe Lee's state both sober and under the influence. Traits Reinstedt said as he wrapped up his argument to the jury that shows Momeni's story was fabricated.
Now it's imperative that we keep everybody really close at hand and keep Bob's kids close with us so that we can in some way make up for this loss, right?
So, Lauren, the jury's had... go ahead, Lauren. I was going to ask you a quick question about the jury. They've had so much to go through and settle through. What is the judge telling that they can and cannot consider?
Yeah, well, jury instruction, Juliet, sets the parameters for exactly what the jury can and cannot consider. Now, jurors were told that the charges alone against Nima Momeni do not prove any kind of guilt, but they were also told that fleeing the scene, something that prosecutors say Momeni did do, may prove to some kind of guilt. They were also told that if they believe that any witness intentionally lied about their testimony on the stand, that jurors cannot consider consider any part of their testimony. And lastly, because this is a self-defense case, jurors are told that they must consider whether Momeni felt that he was in imminent danger in order to justify his act of self-defense, Juliet.
Yeah, so Lauren, what charges can the jury consider?
Juliet, the jury must consider several different charges in this case. Momeni has been charged with murder in the first degree with an enhancement for carrying a deadly weapon. That is a charge that carries 26 years to life in prison. But they were also told to consider murder in the second degree, which states that there may not have been any premeditation, but that there was still some type of intent to kill. They could also consider a manslaughter charge or opt to acquit Nima Momeni with a not guilty verdict.
Oh, good insight there, Lauren. Lauren Toms, thank you so much. And Lauren, we'll be back in the courtroom tomorrow for the closing arguments from Momeni's defense team. You can keep up with all of our trial coverage on our website, kpix.com.